and many other. So we will be using the MySQL one. So as we are on a very basic phase, so we'll be using a basic part just to give you a taste of a web application, how it works. There are many advances over here. So we will be using MySQL as our basic today, and just to get a taste of how a web application works, how is a database created, and how the database works, okay, on a basic manner. So we'll be moving forward. Uh, Next is how SQL is used in the website. As I told you that we make a server request towards the database and then retrieve the data from the database. So there is a mechanism involved over here. Okay. First, we use a database, which is a relational database. So RDBM is basically relational database management system. So it is basically a database program. Then to work with that database or to create a logic and get the data from the database, we use a server-side scripting language like PHP or ASP.NET. Okay, so currently we will be using PHP. There are many server-side languages which are used, but just to start with the basic, we'll be using PHP. And to go towards advanced, we can use Express.js and Node.js, which is a combination of a good language, like a good server-side scripting language. So it provides a basic advancement or a secured language which we can use, okay, towards web application. So PHP is a very basic language. We'll be using that to get a taste, and then we use SQL to get the data we want. So here we are using MySQL as our database program. Okay, Gayatri has raised a hand. Is there an issue? Okay, cool. I guess there isn't an issue. Yeah. So we use SQL for the same, and we use the HTML and CSS, which we have studied currently. So that is a front end part, which is a front end framework, which we have seen in our previous days. That is a Bootstrap. It is again a CSS framework, which is used to beautify. Okay. Moving forward, what we'll see what this SQL does, what this SQL can do in the phase. Okay. So these are some of the operations which we can perform on our database. Like we have many other operations, but these are some basic operations which we perform to make a application work. Like we will be developing a CRUD application. So it is basically create, read, update, and delete. So this is a basic application, and this is a fundamentals which we need to while developing a web application. So what we do when we open an application, if we go on a table tab or if we want some info over there, so we see info, read more, we just click on that. A info page is shown to us or any information is shown to us. So that is we are reading the data from database. So that is known as read, which in this case is retrieve data. Okay. So while we fill up a form, okay, so we fill the details and we submit the form. So what happens is a new entry is created in our database. So that is known as create. Okay, so these are the C and R's of CRUD, and the next U and D refers to U means update the records. So if we want to update our form, we just click on update form and re-update our data which we had stored previously. So it retrieves the data from the database, shows to us, and we update the same database, and again we submit the database. So at the back end, the data gets updated. Okay. So if we want to delete something, that is, if we want to delete an account or anything, okay, nowadays it isn't possible. Like big companies do take our data, and if we just go on a delete account or go on Facebook and delete our account, the data doesn't go. The data stays over there, stays with them. Okay. So if we just perform delete, but the basic thing is if we just perform a delete operation or if we delete something, the entire entry gets deleted from the database. Okay, we can't restore that and the data gets reviewed. So these are the 7 operations like execute. This is the first one that we will be executing these all queries over here. Okay, so these all are known as queries. We'll be studying forward one by one. Okay, so retrieve data, insert, update, delete, create, and create new tables. So this is another part, but these are some basic fundamentals we use with the database. Okay. We'll move forward. So we'll see how the database is created in our server, in our local server. So I'd provided you with a software called as XAMPP. Okay. So what it does is, as I said, there is a client server model involved. Okay. Can I just get a quick yes if you have understood whatever I've explained right now? Okay, a couple of more. Yeah, cool. I'll move forward then. Okay. So I just explain a client server model, which will be which is used in any of the application, like any web, even if a website is used. So there is a client server model where we keep a track of what the client wants, or basically clients are we users who visit the website or use the web application. We request something, that request gets stored, they get forwarded to the server. The server processes that, gives us back the result, and we display it on our website. So there is a server part involved in our model. Okay. So what this XAMPP control does is, what this XAMPP does this basically, it creates our own laptop or our own desktop as a server. Okay. So that we can get the result quickly. As you know, servers are paid, and they are huge in numbers. Like it is not a small in GBs or something, it is in terabyte, petabyte. In that terms the server deals with. Okay. So we just want to test our applications, we want to see if our application works with our local server or not. So we use this XAMPP for that. Okay. uh, if you guys have installed the XAMPP, there might be a shortcut created on your desktop. Okay. So if this shortcut is not visible to you, just go to this PC and go to the C drive. As I had mentioned you that please install your software in the C drive itself. Go to the C drive. At the last, you will see a in the last you will see a XAMPP folder. Okay. Just go into this folder, just scroll down, just go into this folder, scroll down. At the last you will see a XAMPP-control.exe. Okay. You can just open this file or make a shortcut on our desktop by right clicking it and create a shortcut and move that to the desktop. Okay. So this is the application, or this is the set of file which we'll be using. So as soon as you open this, you'll get a screen. So just drop a yes if you have got this screen, so that I know that we are on the same track. Okay, everyone is on the same track. Yeah, nice. So as we know, just check if you have tick on these two parts, that is the Apache module and the MySQL module, because we are using these two modules in our server or in our application. So just check if you have a tick over here. If at all you don't have it, just click here so that the modules get installed. Okay. And just wait for some time. It will take some time to install. Just wait until you get a green tick.
Mic बंद किया था actually इधर से function
Just
F7
mute the mic.
function F7
Okay, cool. Yeah. So Apache and MySQL, what are these two modules? I'll just explain that, what these two modules are. Can't check the box. Okay, there isn't any tick over here.
No, we
You'll
can't
get a
take.
box over there. Dialog box that says to install the module. Okay, the box is empty or what? What it is showing?
We can't click on that box.
Okay, just a minute. We won't be able to get forward with that. Okay, I'll just show you if just tell me. Just tell me if you click on start over here, does the module get green? Click on start Apache module and start, and then start the MySQL module. Yeah, it won't take, but at least it would turn green at least. Not the box, but the module. Yeah, so it started basically. You will see the PIDs and ports. Like if I just start this, you will see the PIDs and ports. Okay, is this visible? Yeah. So we're on the same time. I guess there might be a difference between the version. Mine was is the updated one. Okay. Yeah. So this is the two modules. So I'll explain what these two modules are. So the first one is an Apache module. So it is a server. We are creating a server as I told you that we'll be creating our own laptop as a server. So Apache is a server which is on a free one, which provides us a free server. So this is where on the laptop itself, we will be processing our data, working with a database. Yeah, cool, Chirag, no issues. Just see if the modules get greened out and the PIDs and ports are shown. Okay. Everything else is fine. Yeah. So Apache is a server module and MySQL is our database module. Okay. So I'll just minimize this and go to our browser. So I'll just type localhost /php myadmin. Okay. Just type this on our browser and just check if you get this page. And just drop a yes if you get the same page. No, don't update anything now. It's okay, it's fine. Just use the version which I had provided. And check if you get the same page by going to the URL. Some more yes. Okay, cool. So everyone is on the track. Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll check out the first query, which is the create database query. So we'll be creating a database and yeah. So we'll be creating a database. Just go to new over here. Okay, you can, as you can see on the left, just go to new. A page like this will open up. Just type in the database name. Okay. So the database name can be anything. Just make sure that the default database which are present over here, you can't name the same. Okay, no two database can have the same name. So there are some default databases which are present over here, like the PHP, MyAdmin, Nature, not Nature, MySQL, Performance Schema. So you can't name the same again. Okay, so I'll just create a test database over here. Just write test and DB. Okay, just write the name, leave the format as it is, and click on create. Just drop a yes, quick yes, if you have created the database.
A request to everyone to please keep their mics on mute. Yeah, Darshan, continue.
Yeah, so everyone has created the database now. Okay, so this is a what do you say? This is like a UI method, which is a short method. Another syntax way, which I have shown over here, we can just go to our SQL page over here. Okay, so this was our page. Just go to the SQL tab because we will be writing a query to create a database. Just go to here and write this query: create database name. Okay, so I'll just write the query: create database and database name. So this is, I just I'll just drop this database. Okay, I'll leave it for now. Just write create database and give a name over here. Any name would do. So yeah, I'll just give a random name XYZ. Make sure you add a semicolon at the last. Again, you can't provide a name over here which is already present in our database. So just create this name and the simple query. So this is what we have written is a query. Whatever you have written over here, it is a query, and create database is already present, already defined in our SQL language. So we are using the same, writing the query. Just go to this, after writing this query, just go over here at the top, the bottom, and click go. So here you will see MySQLi returned an empty result. And if, as soon as you see a tick, you will see that the database is created. So I had created an XYZ database. You can see it's below the last database below WordPress. You will able to see. Okay, so we have created a database now, which was known as TestDB. Okay. Yeah. So this was our database named TestDB. Now we'll just go click on this database which we had created, that is TestDB, and then click on SQL. Here we will be writing all the queries which we want to perform on our database. Okay, as you can see, run SQL queries on database TestDB. So here we will be writing all the queries. Okay, so we'll move to the next query now. That is a drop one. So the same thing, we'll just go into our SQL, just go to home. And if you just want to drop the database, so if I want to drop this XYZ database, just go to SQL, write drop. You guys don't drop anything as we have created the database. I'm just giving you a syntax. Okay. So I'll drop the database. So what will happen is drop database, and I'll provide the database name, that is XYZ. Okay, in small XYZ. And I'll just click go. As you can see over here, the databases are always present in a server. So that's why we can see over here, run SQL queries on server. So this will drop or delete the database from the server itself. So if I just click on drop and click on go, my database would be gone. Okay, so the database is not present over here, as you can see. Okay, so this is the drop query. So these all the statements which we are performing, like create database, drop data, this is known as queries which we are performing on a database. Okay, now we have created the database. Now we want to create a table inside the database. Okay, so what is SQL is basically there is a database. First one is a database, which is the just a name, that is, assume it like a container. Okay, so you have a container, and there are many other options related, or many other things we have stored inside that container. So the things are stored here in the form of tables. Okay, so whatever information we store, they are stored in the form of tables. Our normal table which we had seen yesterday, we had made a table yesterday. So we store the data in table. So it is not necessary that we make a table as we want to show in our front end side. We can make any type of table inside our database. While showing it in the front end, we have a server side language which does take care of all the things of how we want to show it and everything. Here we make our database according to our convenience, so that the web application works in a fluid manner. Like we can't put everything in one table itself. We have to make every table different. Like just say if I want a student table, okay, so what happens is there are many other things related to students. So if I just create a student table, give it a name, what is id is, what the email id is. So id and student id, email id, those are two different things. Okay, so I'll just make a table, drop in a name, student id and email. So this is my one table. And if I want to store more information about student, let's say I want to store the number of books he has borrowed from library. Okay, so we will create a new table for the same. We won't create a single table and put in all our data. What will happen is the while retrieving that data, the web application would work very slowly. Okay, so we'll create a separate data for the separate table for the same, so that our web application works efficiently. So this is the concept of tables. I'll just create a small table, a test table inside this test db. Okay, so let's go to SQL. And as we saw the statement over, the query statement over here. So let's say I want to create this table. Okay, I'll just copy paste this query and explain you. Okay. Yeah, so I'll just explain you this query. Okay, so this is again a create table, which is an SQL query. And yeah, we'll write the same create table, and we will provide the table name over here. See, you can see over here, the table name is supposed to be given when you start the query. Okay, so I want to create a persons table, and inside that persons table, I want the number of columns. Okay, so this is where you give the table name. This is where inside the parentheses, you give the column names. Okay, clear till now? Just drop a quick yes if it's clear for now. Okay, cool. Yeah. So I want to create a person's table. I want to have these three columns in my table. Okay. I want person ID. That is the name of our first column. Okay. So if you just understand the chain, it is a database first. Inside that database, we have tables. Inside that tables, we have columns. It is a general view that we have for tables. Like we know tables as rows and columns. So it is a general thing. Just have a database, a tables, couple of tables, and inside that table we have our columns. Okay. So first column is a person ID. Now IDs are basically in the form of integers. Okay, if you'll see your college ID, there is a ID mentioned over here, that is student ID or any other ID. It is form of generally in form of integers. So what I need to give to the SQL to the query is for the query to understand that we need only numbers, nothing else. Okay, so we'll just type int over here. So what it does is it basically gives the column as integer data type. Okay, only the numbers would be stored over here, nothing else. The table won't accept anything else like characters. It won't accept it. Okay, now I want to store name and city. So for name and city, I want the name to be in the form of characters. Okay, so name and city, I want both of them to be in terms of a character data type. So what we'll give is varchar. So varchar is nothing but a data type, and inside that varchar, now there is some limitations over here. Okay, even for int you can give a limitation like just drop in a semicolon and provide the ID limitation which you want. But generally we don't do that, as SQL defaultly provides it with us. Okay, so by default I'll show you how by default it goes to 11. Okay, so we'll go with this. Give the name, city, varchar, and 255 is number of characters I want for the that particular column to be accepted. Okay, so 255 states that it can be anything. If I just want 20, I'll just say 20. or 10 or anything. I'm currently setting it to 255, the maximum. Okay. So I'll just again write this query, go to, and then click on none. Now you can see a success bar over here. And if I just go to the, as we can see over here, we are inside server and we are inside testdb database. If I just go to the structure, okay, you can see a table has been made over here. Okay, if I just visit this table, you will see there are 3 columns: person ID, name, and city. Okay, so these are empty currently because we haven't provided any data. We haven't had inserted any of the data. So these are the 3 columns which we have created now inside our database. Clear till now? Everyone is clear till now? Just drop a quick yes. Okay, cool. We'll move forward. Again, we'll go to the query. Again, I'm going to this database, go to the SQL query. Now, we'll move to the next query. Here, we use this query to insert into our insert values into our database. Okay, as we have made our database, we need to insert some values over here so that it's useful. So we use this in our SQL language. That is, this is the insert query. We call it insert query, and we will add the values. Now, if I just go and copy, so there are 2 types of insert queries. In the first one, as you can see, we just provide the table name and directly give the values. But the catch is we need to provide all the values. Okay. So here, if I am having 3 columns, if I am having currently 3 columns, so I'll need to provide every value over there. I can't just give value 2 and value 3 and go ahead. I need to provide each and every value over here for the query to run. Okay. And if I want to add specific data into our tables, okay, only specific. So we'll use this query and provide the column name. Again, in every query, we use table name so that the SQL knows that we want to perform the query on this particular table. So table name is must in both of them, and column 1, column 2 are the columns wherein we want to add the data, and here these are the values. So these are 2 are related. So if I just type column 1 over here, I need to provide the value of first column itself. Okay, so this is in an order form. I can't do if I just write column 2 randomly over here and give value of first column. So it will go, the query will run. But the thing is, the column 2, the value of column 1 will go into column 2. Okay, so it will get basically messed up. Okay, so I'll just use the first one because I want to provide all of them, all the values. So I'll just copy paste over here. Okay, and so my table name was persons over here. Okay, so I'll give persons as my table name, and we had three of the columns over there. Okay, so we need to provide 3 values now. So I'll just provide 3 values over here. So it will be 1 for the ID, and next we had a name. So let's say I write my name itself. So what we'll be doing is we'll be adding a double quotes over here. So for every string value, we need to provide double quote. For every integer value, we need to provide 1. We don't need to provide the double quotes. Okay. But the thing is, we can use this, we can use strings, that is the double quotes, for each and every column also. There is not an issue. It is according to the web application need, or it is according to the convenience of the database designer, what he does. Okay, so I'll just provide a string over here, that is my name itself. And again, the next thing next was the data type had a varchar itself, so I'll just provide my city. Okay, again I'll write this query and go to the database. So you'll see 1 row inserted. So if I just visit my database, go to this persons table, you can see a ID, a name, and the city has been added in this. Okay. So just run this query. I'll show you the syntax. Just run this query and drop a quick yes if you have done. Okay, cool. So most of them are done. Now again, I'll be going to the database, going to my SQL where I write the query. We'll be learning a new one. Okay, and now if we want to see the query or see the data inside the database which we have just added, we can't always do that, like visit the database and get the data from that. So for while showing it in our front end type, okay, so what we'll do is we use this select query to show our data or to fetch the data from the database. That is fetch or read, you can say in our CRUD application, we say as read. So we'll read the data from the database. So this is the syntax for the same. And again, there is as you can see here, there is a asterisk character over here. Okay, a special character asterisk. So what asterisk does is it shows all of the columns ka data. Okay, so if I want to show or if I want to fetch all the data from that particular table, from let's say persons table, so I'll use star over there. Or if I want to just fetch the name and the city, so I'll provide the column name over here, that is column 1 and column 2. Instead of column 1 and column 2, we'll write the name, that is name and city from table name. Okay, so if I just go over here, write my SQL query as select all from my table name was persons. Okay, or semicolon. So make sure you follow this convention, that is you write the code, the query in the form of capital letters and the table names or column names in small case. There's no issue if you write this also in small case, but it's a good practice to write these so we can differentiate in the code. Here we can see we can differentiate it easily, but while writing in the code, that is in PHP, we need to write this so that we can differentiate at least that these are the table names or the column names and this is the query which we are performing. Okay, so I'll perform this query for you. So what will happen if all the rows will be gathered for me? Currently I just have one row over here. So as you can see here over here, the person ID, name and city has been displayed for me, okay, as the star. And if we so let's say I want only the name. Okay, I just want the name to be specified. So I'll write select name from persons table. Okay, what will happen over here is all the data from the name column will be visible over here. No specific data will be visible. All the name column, all the data from the name column will be visible. So if I just click on go over here, you will see the name column is displayed over. As I have only a single entry over here, so I have only one entry shown, but all of them would be visible. And if I want specifically just the first row or just with only one row, so for that reason we provide a ID over here. See, for that reason we use IDs, so we get a specific data. So there are maybe hundreds, thousands of students present. So if I want to just pull one particular student ka data, then we use IDs for that. For that reason, we use ID. Okay. So I'll go forward with that. Next is the update statement. Okay. Here you can get the main name of the ID. Okay. So update statement. What it will do is it will, as the name says, it will update the data in that particular table, and we will set the values in a pair, a key value pair. So basically, okay, so column value pair basically, and we'll give the column name over here and the value over here. Okay, so I'll just copy paste and show you a bit easier in that. Again, I'll go to the database, write my query over here. So we have a table name as persons over here first. Okay. So I'll write my table name, that is persons. And I want to set the column which we had 3 columns, that is person ID. If you just plus over here, you can see the columns. Okay. So you had city, name, and person ID over here. Okay. Just see to the bottom left of the screen. We have 3 columns: city, name, and person ID. So if I'll just go to, I just want to change the city. Okay. Assume I want to change the city. So I'll go write the column name, city, and the value. Again, we'll give double quotes. I don't want this. I want the city to be renamed as Mumbai, to be updated as CM. Now here you'll see there is where and a condition written over here. So what condition is it? So we had given a person ID over here first. Okay. So I'll just write that particular column name, and I'll ask the query or ask the database to update the city of that particular ID itself. Okay. So we can even use name as well. We can use any of the column, but we have defined person ID for that particular purpose. So I'll use person ID over here. Okay. Let me just check with the column name. Just keep it copied. Make sure you write the column name same as you had provided, and I'll give it as 1 because I had provided the person ID as 1. I'll just run this query and go with that. As you can see, it shows success, and I'll go to my database, go to persons, and you can see the city name has been updated. Okay. Okay. Can you please explain again? Yeah, I'll explain the update query. Yes, Chirag, you want the update query? Okay, I'll explain the update query once again. Okay, just go to the database, hit SQL, and this one. Okay, we'll see the syntax first. So here, update. This is the syntax, the basic syntax which we have, which we had for previous statements also. Now this one is a next query. Okay, so update, first one will write the update, and we'll provide the table name to the query so that we come to know which table needs to be updated. And we'll set the column name. We'll set the value of this particular column. So we'll set value 1 as the value of column 1. Okay. So there would be many entries over here. As I told you, there would be many entries, one below the other. But for each and every student, like I had named mine one. I have given Darshan as my name in that particular. So the query runs over in a row fashion. Okay. All the values get updated in a row fashion by the use of columns. So I'll provide the column name over here, which I want to update for my particular data, for my particular row. So I had a row of person ID, name, and city. I want to update my name or my city. So I'll give the column name. So name and city was the column name which we had given. Okay. So instead of column 1, we will give name, and we will equate the value of what we want to update. So I wanted to update my city. So there was a column named city over in our table. I just wrote the column name over there, and we have equated it with a new value or the updated value. So that is the value we provided. Now what will happen is, if you just run this much amount of query, just the update and set, all the values of the column will get updated. It won't get updated for a particular one. All the values will get updated. So for that reason, we use this where condition, so that the value gets updated for that particular row or that particular ID only, not for everyone. So that's the reason we use where condition over here. Okay, Chirag, I hope you have understood that. Yeah, so I'll move forward. Okay. So this was the update query. Next one is a delete query. Now, if I want to delete some row, or I want to delete this the row which I had currently added. So if I want to just delete that, again same syntax, just copy the syntax. You can even write this. I'm just copy pasting for your understanding purpose, so that you can get the syntax over here. Okay. So delete from, again we'll go to our database, write the query over here, delete from, will provide the table name from where we want to delete the data. Okay. Now what happens over here, we can't delete a particular column data. Okay. If I just show you, go to the database, and I can't delete just the name of this particular row. Either we can alter it or update it. So if I just want to delete this, what do you say? Delete the whole row, use the same syntax. Using this syntax, you can't just delete a column name or a particular data. The whole row gets deleted over here. Okay, so I'll just specify a table name, that is persons, and I'll again use a condition of which student or which particular row I want to delete. So I want to delete it using the person's ID which we have provided. So basically IDs are used for this purpose itself, just to edit, update and delete. Okay, so I'll give person ID as 1, because we have a person ID as 1 over the first one, the first row. So I'll just execute this. Yes, as you can see, the server asks us if you really want to delete, as this deletes the row entirely. Okay, so the server will ask you for the same, and you can see a success, a tick over here. And if I just go to my database, go to my table, my entry would get deleted. Okay, so have you guys understood till now whatever queries we have performed? I'll provide you with the PPTs so that you can run through this query. These are some very basic queries which we use. These are very basic queries. Okay, there are many SQL queries we have, but for our need, or for just to give you a taste of database and how we can manipulate, we are using these queries itself. These are selective queries. So just we are using the this query itself. So now what we have done is, we have just deleted the row of that particular table. What happens is, sometimes if you want to delete the whole table itself, okay, for any kind of changes, or we want a new structure towards our table, so what we can do is, for any reason, okay, we have delete table ka option over here. So what if I just show you the syntax? So this is the delete table ka query, wherein we will just provide it with a table name. So if I just go to my database, make sure you work with database itself. So just check if you are working with the right database or not. Okay. So just you can check over here with what database I'm currently working on, and again check with if you are working with the right database or not. Just click on this database, and for that particular database, you can perform these functions over here. So I'll just go to my SQL. I'll just paste this syntax. Now here I want to specify the table name. So what my table name was persons. Okay. So I'll just provide it with a person. So my entire table would get deleted. Now, if I just run this again, there would be a pop-up which will be asking, are you sure you want to delete the table? So these are the basic delete provided by the localhost or provided by the SQL. So I'll just click OK, and my database would be, table would be deleted. So if I just go to my database from here, you can see no tables found in the database. So I've successfully deleted the table. And now if I want to delete the whole database, we had seen that in a previous one, that is drop database and database name. Okay. So have you understood these queries? As we will need these queries, these are the basic queries which we'll need for the CRUD application. Just drop a quick yes if you have understood the queries, which at least the queries which we have performed yesterday. So if I just tell you to write a query to select or to read or insert anything into our database or create a table, so you'll be able to perform it. You'll be able to make the table. Okay, so there are a couple of yes. I'll move forward. So this is just the basic. There's also a concept of primary key and foreign key. I'll just explain you a bit basic over here. Okay. So as we know RDBMS, I said RDBMS, that is relational database management system. So where the relational comes from. So this is where the relational comes from. So we have two tables over here. As you can see, there are two tables. One is a student details table, and other one is provide the courses. It provides us with the course detail of that particular student. Okay, as I said, as you can see, there are two different tables over here. We don't create a single table and just keep on adding data over there. We create separate tables so that our web application works efficiently, fastly, so that the client or the user gets a proper experience or a good experience using the database or using the application basically. So here we can see four columns over here: student ID, first name, last name, and course ID. And now we have another name, another table. So the ID plays a very important role in our tables, in our database, as that is the only unique identification basically, the which follows us or which we use so that we can store data for that particular ID. Also, this is easy. I just want to search COO to get the student details. So whatever student details are associated with that, I'll just write select all from, and I'll provide the table name or the ID itself in the where condition, so that I get all the details from that particular student. But the thing is, if we are making two separate tables, so we will need to write two queries over here to get the data for the student detail and also for the course. We will need to write two queries, but instead I want the result in one query itself. I'll just write one query and I want all the data related to that course ID. Therein comes the primary key and foreign key concept. Okay, so I'll just show you this. So as you can see, course ID, there are two same columns over here. Okay, named as same column name. There are two columns in this table. So this is, assume this is course ID ka table, course details ka table, and this is a student details ka table. So if you just see, the two tables are having the same value. Okay, what this table shows is, or what this diagram shows is, here we have given this column a ID or a key, basically a key that that is known as a primary key. Okay, so this is the primary key. This is a primary way, or the data has been, ID has been generated from this particular table. Okay, so this is the first table wherein the data will be added, and this is the primary key. And the what do you say, this table shows a reverse one, but okay, I'll just explain that in the same manner. that this is a student table, and if I just give primary key to this course ID, this column itself, I provide a primary key. So the relation, to maintain the relation in the next table, if I want to get this particular ID card details, so what I'll do is I'll enter or make a column in my course detail table, add course ID over there, and I will give it as a foreign key. So these are basically keys which you are providing to the tables. So assume it as a lock key system. Okay, you are providing keys to access the details. So these are the primary key and these are the foreign key. It's just a relation, nothing else. It's just a relation which we have between two tables, so that we can get the data from all the we can get all the data from this particular tables. At least you have understood this concept. Just drop a yes. This is somewhat an advanced concept, okay, which we use for big databases, but as just assume it as a key relation which we use between two tables. Okay, relational data. Yeah, we had RDBMS as relational database management system. So this is just a gist of how it is said that it is relational. Okay. I'll move forward. This is just a database which we have created. Okay. This is, we are done with the database and whatever tables we want to store. So the first and most major important thing of every web application or any web application is the database. If the database is structured in a proper manner, the application will function in a very efficient way. If the database is not structured in a proper manner, you will have n number of problems while writing the server side or while writing the server side script to work with that database. So if we have created this database and if we want to work with this database, we have a language, a server side scripting language, that is PHP. So we can work with these databases. Okay, so PHP is basically a server-side language. Assume it as a language itself, because whatever we do in our C++, it is somewhat similar to that. Okay, I'll just make a folder over here. And give it as PHP tutorial. I've made a folder over here and I'll just right click and open it with code. Okay, so this is the starting page. We don't have any files over here. Again, we will be creating our PHP files now. For CSS, we had CSS files, that is style.css. For PHP, we have PHP files with an extension of .php. Okay, so that our code runs over there. I'll just click on PHP tutorial, click new file, and I'll just name it as index.php. Okay, the PHP file is created for me. Make sure the PHP extension is given to the file so that we understand the document type which we are using is a PHP file. As we had for HTML and CSS, we have the extension as .php for the same. Is everyone on the same track now? Just drop a yes. If you're, I want everyone to try this. Okay, just make a file and I'll show some of the syntaxes or some of the commands. Okay, open your VS Code, make a folder and drop the same. Okay, we have created our file and I just want, so where we write, first of all, where we write the PHP scripts. Okay, for HTML we had opening and closing tags. Okay, for HTML we had a boilerplate. For Bootstrap we had a boilerplate. So there were basically an opening and closing tag or a conventional where we will be writing our script. So for the same, for PHP also we are having a convention. So if I just write PHP, or let's say I just write, I just give a back arrow, give a question mark, and write PHP. Okay, so this is the syntax, or this is where we will be writing our whole script. Just a minute, I'll have some water. Okay. Yeah. So this is where we will be writing our script first. So you every PHP script you want to run, you need to have this tag so that our PHP script runs. We can run this. We can run HTML also in this script. So if we just write our HTML code over here, okay, or just exclamation rather. So we get the whole plate. So this is what the structure is for PHP or for any PHP file which we use, so that we can run our PHP also and HTML also. Though, so we can run our HTML also over here in one file, and we can run our PHP also in a one file. Okay, just the thing is, to run PHP we need to have this open and close tags. Currently I don't need this, so I'll just click away. Okay, so I've created this tag, I'd opened this tag. Now I want to just print something on my page. This is the index.php ka page. So if anyone visits, or just a convention which we start, which we use for any of the programming language, which is hello world. A basic rather ritual we perform. Okay, so I want to see this hello world on our web page. So what our web page will display is hello world. Okay, so I want this to be displayed. Now what will happen is, if I just open this file, it's stored over here. Okay, I'll just open this file with Chrome randomly, nothing. Okay, you will see the code over here. Why is this happening? Because PHP requires a server. As I told you, it is a server side language. So it requires a server to run this page. This is currently not running on a server. So for this web application or any web page to run, we need to write, or we need to give this form in a server manner, so that our whole application runs on a server. That's the reason we had created a server on our local PC only, on our desktop only. So what we'll do is just copy this and go to this PC, go in our C drive, again go to the XAMPP folder. You will see a htdocs folder over here. Okay, This is where all our applications are stored. Any application which we run, this is all application folders which I have stored. So I'll just paste my application folder also over here, which is named as PHP tutorial. I'll just paste it over here. Okay, so you can see my application folder is visible. And now I'll open this with my VS Code. There's that out. See that? Yeah. I'll open that folder with code. Go to index.php, we can see we have our code itself. But now, if I run this code on my server, through my server, okay, what I'll write is to access through access the folder. What I'll write is localhost slash the folder name php underscore tut and space the forward slash and the page name I want to exit. I want to see the page name. So if I want to see that particular page, I'll just enter over here. You will see over here, hello world is shown. The code is now not visible. It is only the hello world over here. Okay. Just do this and drop a quick yes if you have done this. You can also use open it with a live server, as we had taught you the live server concept. Just I'll close this. Okay, go to my VS Code. The extension hasn't been installed, I guess. Yeah, cool. We'll show it afterwards. When we'll see the CRUD application, I'll show you how to run it with a server. Just drop a quick yes if you have done this much and you get the same result as I did. A more couple of yes so that we can move forward. Again, we will not be deep diving into programming. We'll just be doing the basics so that you get to know how the CRUD application works. Okay. Yeah, so I'll move forward. Now, again, as I told you, this is a programming language itself. Okay. It's a programming language itself. So all the programming languages has variables, loops, all that concepts are there in a programming language. So here also we have these type of concepts. But the thing is, PHP is a very loosely typed language. So it is not that precise, which it works with C++ or C. So they are a proper languages. This is a server side language, so it is a very loosely typed language. Okay, so I'll just show you with the variables part now, how the variables are declared, how we use the variables. Okay, so I'll just create a variable called name over here. Okay, so this is the variable which I have created, that is empty. So basically there is no data type, nothing is present in PHP. Okay, as I told you, it is a loosely typed language. We don't need to specify any type of data types like we did in C++. We need to provide int over there, and we need to provide string of if you want a string, we want to provide a string over there. Nothing happens over here. We simply declare a variable in this form. This is the type where we have declared our variable with an empty value. Okay, we need to do this. Otherwise, if I just say $name over here, it will show me an error of undefined variable. Okay, as we haven't defined or assigned any value over here, so it will show undefined variable. So if we just want to declare a variable, we will apply an empty value so that the undefined variable error is not shown to us. Okay, so if I just type my name over here inside the string, again double quotes, inside double quotes, whatever we type is a string now. Okay, so I'll just say hello world, and I'll echo this variable. So echo is a statement where we show our outputs, or where we show all the results in our PHP. Okay, just to say like print, it is like print. So there are two functions in PHP, that is echo and print, but we use echo majorly over here. So I'll just echo my name, and make sure you write semicolons after every line. After every PHP, you write semicolons, otherwise you will get an error of undefined index. Okay, make sure you write this. Now what will happen is it will echo hello world also, and it will echo my name also. Okay, I'll save this, go to my browser, again open my folder, that is localhost, this php underscore tut. And if I just go, why have I named index over here? You might have a question, why always we start with index? Okay, so index is a file, is basically the file where the web application start, or the where website starts with. Okay, so even if some persons as we know, we don't if I just get a URL, we don't need to type the file name over there. We just type our domain name over here, like google.com. We don't go to search and write this. Okay, we don't specify the page. So here, if I don't specify the page, if I just write this much URL, assume this to be your URL, because this part is covered inside your domain. Whatever you see, what is a .com or .in domain which you see, this part is covered inside that. Okay, so that's the reason we just write the domain and click on enter. You will see my index page is shown to you without, I haven't written anything over here. I haven't written index.php, but the thing is, web applications or the server side languages work accordingly, that if I just specify index as my first page and run my domain itself, so the home page should be visible to me. The user shouldn't write the page name, because the user doesn't know the page's name which we have stored in our files. Okay, that's the reason we write index in every of the file. So as you can see, hello world and darshan is visible over here. Okay, now what I want to do is, I want to write hello darshan over here. So I want to combine this string and this variable. So what I'll do is, I'll remove this over here. I'll just comment out this. So how to comment a line in any of the PHP or any language, basically, just click on control and forward slash. Okay, just click on control and plus forward slash. Now the line has been commented. This won't run in our PHP language or PHP script. This won't run with our script. Okay, so I want hello and my name to be visible. So if I just write $name over here, let's see what happens. As you can see here itself, it's showing as error. So it has gone as red. Here itself it is showing error, that there's something error over here. Okay, so I want to concatenate or append these two strings. This is also a string, this is also a string, but I want to append those strings so that the script language or PHP understands that there is a string and there is a dynamic variable. Okay, if I just change over here to any name, the reflection, it will get reflected over here. So if I just write dot over here, now see, the error has gone. Okay, so what will happen over here is, the hello string and the my name string will get appended, will get, basically it will be joined with one another. Okay, so if I just save this and run this, see, you will be visible with hello darshan. Now if I just want to change the name and write it to Aman, so I'll just write Aman, and I don't need to change anything, just save my file, go over here and run. So you'll see hello Aman. Okay, Please perform this and drop a quick yes. I'll show you the code over here. Perform this and drop a quick yes if you are understanding the same, because this is the basics which we need to have to run the PHP application and to work with PHP scripting. So these are the small scripts which we are writing, which aren't related to database yet, but we need to write this to run this thing. Okay, so everyone is getting the concept of variable and string and yeah. I'm getting hello world. Yeah, you must have written hello world. See, I have given a dot over here. If you can see, there's a dot to append those strings. Just check this code. Just make sure that your code is similar to this. Okay. Yeah, so everyone's doing so far. Again, there are some conventions to write the variables. That is, we can't just write with the number, or we can't start the variable name. So dollar is the thing, or dollar is an indication that this particular is a variable. The dollar sign over here indicates that this is a variable. Okay, and the variable has some conventions that we can't start it with the name, or we can't start it with the like number. So we can't do that. We can only use characters, that is from alphabets A to Z, and underscore. So if I just give a underscore over here, if I want to name the convention over here like this, so underscore, I'll need to change over here itself. It will run on my script. Okay, as you can see, there's no error. So these are the naming conventions of variable. Okay, now we have created a variable, had my echo statement so that we can display anything on our web pages. Now we'll see the syntax is basically for today itself. For today, we'll just see the syntax for if loop. So if I, not if loop, if else statement. So again, anyone from programming background or anyone knows basic programming, these are the things you will they know already. But I'm assuming that there are some of the basics on who haven't known for programming or haven't touched programming. So that's the reason I'm taking this basics over here. Okay, so for the syntax, so I'll be showing you the syntax of each and every part or each and every element which we will doing ahead. Okay, so this will be helpful for your CRUD application. So first one is an if else statement. Okay, so I'll just go over here, write if, give a parentheses, and this is a basic if statement where we write if, and inside parentheses we provide it with a condition, whatever condition we want to check. Is, let's say if I just want to check this as our condition, so I'll just copy this and paste this. So let's say if dollar name is Aman, then echo this is, again we will need to write here, this is, okay. So this is the condition which we are using, and this is the inside code which we want to run. If the condition is true, then this code will be run over here. Okay, this code will be PHP will say that this is the code which I want to run, or this is the code which I want to perform if the condition is true. So let's say here, as you can see, the condition is true, that my variable name has a value of Aman. So if I just say save this, go to my browser, run this, you will see this is Aman has been printed. So if I just remove one character, now the condition is not true, it won't run. The thing is, yeah, so it is assuming that it is a string, so I need to go forward with it. But basically what happens is this is the condition over here which we need to check for each and everything. And if the condition is not true, then we will run this code. Otherwise, we have an else statement. So for this itself, we'll have an else and write what we want to run. There wasn't a else statement over here. That's why it was showing me that. So if I just say echo, this is, make sure you write semicolons to each and everything. Okay. I guess it's not checking the condition. Just dollar. Now it's showing this is Aman. I don't have value. Yeah. So as you can see, if I provide it with a value, now what this is doing is this is checking the true ka variable. So if I have a value over here, 1, then it will give me this is Aman, that it is true. And just comment out this. And if it is not 1, or if it is an empty value, as I told you, if I want to give an empty variable, I will do that. Then this will tell me this is not Aman. Okay. I hope everyone has understood this concept of if. Please drop a couple of yes so that I can move forward. Okay, cool. Yeah. So next thing is we want to learn. Now we have learned the if statement and if else statements. Now next we will be learning the loops part. So there are the same types of loop which we have in C and C++. I'll just mention them. There are while loop. There is a while loop. There's a do while loop. There is a for loop. And for PHP, that is server side language, we have a for each loop. Okay, this is something new. There is a for each loop, which we use specifically for arrays. As we all know that arrays have a key value pair inside them. So it is a combination of key and value. There is a key, let's say this is the key, let's say this is the key, and this is the value of the same. So if I want to store this in a multiple times, if I just store this in a multiple times, this will be stored in an array. So there is a key and there is a value. For that purpose, we use for each. Otherwise, we use while and for loops, while, for, and do while. So I'll just show you the syntax of while. So if I just say while, and that's it. That's the syntax. So I'll just provide the condition over here. Again, these are all conditional based loops. Basically, loops are conditional based only. So I'll just provide the condition over here and the code which I want to run inside this. Okay. So this is for the while one. For do while, we have the same do this while the condition. Okay. And for loop, for conventions, the for conventions which we write, again we are having some for conventions which we have in C++. That is, we will initialize the counter over here. We'll provide a semicolon. Then we will test the counter, or whatever the condition we want to test according to the counter. We will test them, and here we will increment or decrement our counter. So what it will do is, I've initialized some counter. It will show error because I haven't written anything over here. Okay. So what it will do is, here it will initialize the counter which we want to perform. And here we will test that counter if the value, basically the condition, if we, what we want is conditioned or not. Let's say here we write I is equal to 1. I is our uh, counter. So we will initiate the counter from I equal to 1. We'll go till I should be till where we want to go. Okay. So let's say I want the I to be less than 10. Okay. And I want to increment the counter. So we'll write I plus plus. Okay. So this is the basic thing which we do in our for loop. That is, we give a counter and we will say how much we want. So where this is used in web applications is if we want to show just the some of the rows, specific rows from our database. So we will limit that particular row number over here. Okay, that particular row number we will limit over here and we'll show that particular row. So let's say I want to show just the 10 rows over here. So I'll limit those and show that. Okay. So these are the loops. Again, the same thing while condition. This is the same thing we do. We can convert for loops into while loops. So what we'll do is we'll write the condition over here which we want. We will initiate the character at outs itself. So if I want I equal this, so this is the difference, or this is the way which we convert a for loop into a while loop. So I'll initiate my counter at the outside the code itself, and the condition. This is the condition which we need to provide. This is the condition till which the while loop should run. Otherwise, the while loop will keep on running for infinite number of times. So we need to provide a condition over here so that our while loop stops. Okay. And we will perform our script and we will keep on incrementing our counter. Okay. And over here, we will perform our script or commands which we want. Okay, so this is the syntax for while loop. The same thing goes for do while also. We'll do this, and while the condition is over. There's the difference between these two is while loop will be performed only if the condition inside this is true. It won't perform until the condition is true. For do while, this will perform for my first iteration basically. So this first iteration will be performed compulsorily. And for the next iteration, it will check the condition. If the condition is true, then only it will perform the next iteration. Okay. So this is the reason majorly do whiles are not used if we want to have a conditional loop. Okay. If we want the loop to be run or to run in a condition manner only, if the condition is true, then only we will run the loop. Otherwise, we won't run the loop. Okay. So this is the basic difference between while and do while. And for, I've told you how to convert a for into a while. Okay. So have you understood this? The basic programmers would already know this. Don't worry about that. It's just that I wanted to keep this clear. Okay, just drop a quick yes and we will wind up with the session for today. I'll provide you with the PPT so that you can go through the SQL statements and you can perform it on your own also so that there isn't any issue. Okay guys, so I hope everyone has understood. The material will be provided again to you and we'll meet ahead. We will make our CRUD application, which will be based on these itself. So these are the basic things which will be need to create a CRUD application over here. And more of the functions are needed. So basic, this is just a, what do you say, tools. This is not even a proper way. This is just the tools. Ahead, we have a PHP functions, we have MySQL functions, specific functions to a database so that we can work with the database. Okay, so we'll be winding up the session. It's already 7:30. Okay, thank you everyone for joining. Make sure you join tomorrow's lecture. Don't miss out with that. I'll just stop my share. Gunjan, I had to you.
Yeah, thank you, Darshan, for today's session. We'll see you all tomorrow. Have a nice day. Thank you.